You're listening to the B&H Photography Podcast. For over 40 years, B&H has been the professional source for photography, video, audio, and more. For your favorite gear, news, and reviews, visit us at bnh.com or download the B&H app to your iPhone or Android device. Now here's your host, Alan Weitz.
Oh, we're having fun. We're busy taking selfies of each other here. This is great today. Hi, I'm Alan Weitz. Welcome to the B&H Photography Podcast. Twice in as many weeks, two of my neighbors' kids got engaged. It's that time of year again. Spring has sprung and everybody's getting married. Today, John Harris and I will be talking about wedding photography with Kristi Drago-Price, a former photo editor from Brides Magazine, a speaker and photo business consultant. Did I mention you also shoot weddings? We're going to start by picking Kristi's brains about marketing, branding, social media, and other means of getting your name out there as a wedding photographer. We'll also discuss business practices, followed by a short break. Afterwards, we'll talk to Kristi about the big day, managing interpersonal skills under duress, networking, and dealing with drunk uncles and out-of-control ringtones. Before we begin, I just want to remind everybody listening that your feedback serves as a valuable tool for us in terms of producing the kind of shows you don't want to miss. Reach out to us on Twitter at BHPhotoVideo with the hashtag BHPhotoPodcast, or email us at podcast@bhphoto.com. You make a point on your website, which is really well produced, that you take pictures with an editor's eye.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that.
Well, I have two companies. So I have Editor's Edge, which is an offshoot basically of, I was the head of the photo department at Brides Magazine for 13 years at Condé Nast. And when I first started there, back in the day, before weddings were what they are now, they were not cool at all. There was no photo department. They needed somebody to just kind of come in and help out with the photos. And I 13 years later, built a department and was the head of the photo department, had about 5 people working underneath me, and really got to see the wedding industry change between big over-the-top year 2000 weddings to bridezillas to the crash and everything's DIY and all that kind of stuff to blogs and, this thing called the internet and all that kind of stuff. It's just a fad. Well, it's not. So I really got to see the industry change, which I thought was really interesting.
Is it safe to say that you were a photographer before you became an editor? Where did your interest in photography start up? Because I know photo editors that never take pictures, although this day that's kind of rare.
Well, I did go to school. I went to Fashion Institute of Technology, and I went to School of Visual Arts.
Okay. Hey, I went to SVA. My daughter went to FIT. Okay.
There you go.
Right, we'll
good New Yorkers. And I worked, going to SVA, I worked my way through college and worked all around the photo industry. And at that time, I was shooting on the side while I was full-time at the magazine. And then...
Shooting weddings or just
shooting weddings.
Your thing? Oh,
yeah, shooting weddings here and there. And at that time, too, it was sort of you had the editorial photographers that I would hire for the fashion and the beauty and still life and travel, and that was what was so great too at working at a wedding magazine, that it wasn't just one thing, it was everything. So I got to work with a lot of different photographers and view their work and collaborate with them. But then we also had what we called the quote-unquote real wedding photographers and the people that were actually out on the field,
Your work is very editorial looking. That's what gets me about it. A lot of it looks like it could be right out of an editorial spread. It's sort of a thin line in there. When did you start becoming aware of different styles? People think wedding photography, they think of some guy, just comes in, he's already chewing antacids in an ill-fitting suit and then has, a 70-year-old Hasselblad that he refuses to give up. It's fine, it's good enough. But... when did you start noting that there are definitely different personalities, different styles? Because people think wedding photography and
within wedding photography, your clients feel like they need to be going with what's popular, and for a while it was I call it the airy look, the airy, blown out, backlit in a field look. Now it's a little bit more of what I call the hipster look, which is very flat.
Isn't that true of every kind of photography? Who's setting these styles? Who's setting all of these
Who's
trends?
setting their, well,
And is it from within the community, or people, taking ideas that they see elsewhere and just incorporating it, and all of a sudden it takes off?
the leaders are inspired by other types of photography. And that's one of the things I also always speak with my clients about, is that what's your eye candy? And I'm shocked that people will, or who's your favorite photographers? And I'm shocked when people rattle off, other wedding photographers, or that they look through wedding magazines. I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah.
That's not where you want to get inspiration from. You need to, one of the other things I talk about a lot as well is, remember when you were in high school, right? And you would have posters all over your walls in your room, and it was or your locker or whatnot, and it was sort of a representation of who you were and what you liked and what you were into. It was your eye candy. And when you're a teenager, you're all about that, right? So I'm a child of the 80s, early 90s, and I had pictures of CK1, Kate Moss and CK1 and Harper's Bazaar and all of that very fashiony images, black and white, and some classic street photographers and Sassy magazine and River Phoenix and whatnot. So, but and it was a weird mix of stuff. But it was, and I do this when I speak, I sort of recreate what my high school wall looked like. I remember the photos very, very much.
I had cave paintings in my home.
Yeah, exactly.
We found little berries. We'd
exactly.
Mammoths.
But the thing is now is that as adults, people don't do that. They don't have like their wall of eye candy walls or anything like
they
that.
Have Instagram.
They have Pinterest.
They have Pinterest.
That's right. I mean, it's just a different.
It's just, but that's on your
different
phone,
media.
right? That's what I'm saying is that you should print out images, go to a museum, look through a food magazine, get inspiration from other things, because what the problem is I think we're all aware of, is that there's so much imitation out there right now.
Yeah.
So I'm a big believer in inspiration over imitation, and that's what I'm trying to get clients and the industry as a whole is like, people are always asking me, what's the hot trends and what should I be doing? I'm like, well, what do you want to be doing?
I know one of my teachers at SVA said, if you're a photographer, put down the camera, go to the museum and look at paintings. Drawings.
Yeah, exactly.
And then come back and
get inspired by something else.
See what you take home with, from the whole thing. You're coming from a world that's both editorial and then wedding photography, and it's two very different styles of business. If you're an editorial photographer or an advertiser, you have a client list, you have people you're working with, and you have relationships that are ongoing.
Right.
Wedding is often, not always, but often a one-shot deal. Somehow they find out about you, or you find out about them. You connect, you shake hands, you agree, and you do it, and you deliver the job, and then what? Then you hope that they tell their engaged bridesmaids about you. Yeah, so it's a very, very different strategy of earning a living and having continuity to your business. How do you go about getting the business, and then what do you do about following up? There's two different ways to go about sort of marketing yourself, right? So there's you have your clients that are hiring you for your services, and then there are your industry friends that are recommending you. Mm-hmm. So you have to keep relationships with both people. So to think about the industry friends, those are almost similar to, like you said, for an editorial photographer, art directors and whatnot, because there's wedding planners, there's venues, there's even florists, and all of those people that you want to be being friends with, and you are friends with them because you work with them, that to keep the recommendations sort of coming. On the other end, to reach your client, the direct person, is I'm a big believer in putting out imagery and putting out language and marketing materials that is very specific to the clients that you want to be getting. Where are you putting this out?
On your website, on your Instagram, on your Facebook, anywhere that people are going to be looking at you.
Are there any photographers doing mailings these days anymore? Or
they do like emailings.
Okay.
Like, that kind of email or content marketing emails kind of thing, I think is
How much time do you,
helpful.
not that you can put an exact time on it, but it takes a lot of time to do stuff like this and to kind of keep your social media presence going.
Oh yeah, it does. There's social media managers now that are fabulous, and it's a job. It's like, I was at a conference recently, and somebody said you need to take social media as seriously as Kim Kardashian does, because that's where millennials are finding you. And the thing that I say is, think about it in a shopping way, right? So I am a big fan of Zappos, and there's always a Zappos box, unfortunately, in my house of things that need to be returned. The thing with Zappos is that you look for something, you shop, and you find, boots, and then you filter it down, and you're like, I need black boots, I need tall boots, and then you can look at it from every different angle, and you can watch a video of some chick walking around like, look at my great shoes. This is how clients now are looking. They're shopping for you. So I get people that are like, well, people, aren't really finding me from my website. And I was like, well, that's not really how they're finding you. They're probably finding you from a recommendation of that they went on Facebook and said, hey, I'm getting married. Who's got somebody to recommend? And then they say, oh, my best friend's brother's sister's friend had a great photographer. Check her out or him out. And then they look at the site. And so that's them entering. And then they want to look at you from every angle. So then they're going to go on your Instagram, and then they're going to go on to maybe your Facebook account, and then they're going to look at your press page and see where you've been published and all of that. So they're looking at you from every angle. And then maybe you have a video or something about yourself, or they want to learn about you to say, hey, I'm going to be hanging out, have a relationship with this person for about a year to 2 years. Am I going to like that person? And so all of that and vice versa. You don't want to be getting clients that you're like, oh, I have to deal with this person for 2 years. Like, you're putting out imagery that they're going to relate to, that they're going to like, that you like shooting, and language that really explains who you are. And even if they want to make those personal connections, because it's a very personal day. I mean, you're in there. They're in their Spanx and they're dealing with their crazy aunt or mother or whatever. And, there's family issues and you have to be there to hold their hand and be like, it's going to be okay, honey.
I shot commercially for like 30 years, and I'm mostly editorial. And every once in a while, somebody would approach me about a wedding, and I always turned it down because and I've been in some really high-pressure, crazy situations. But I don't want to deal with anybody on the day they're getting married.
It's hard.
I don't want it. I just refuse to have to.
Yeah, and that's the thing too.
Me.
I mean, believe me, I've been on set, with tons of editorial shoots, and there is still a connotation of it's weddings, and I'm like,
it's changing to some degree.
And I think it is changing. Yeah. But I think that also then there's the other people that are like, oh my God, no way, it's so hard. Yeah. And there's no redo. There's no like, oh, okay, you know what? Let's try that down again, honey. Can you just walk down that aisle again and kiss one more time? We didn't get it.
That's what always got me. There's no second chance.
There's no second chance.
Well, there is, but you don't want to deal with it.
And you're also you're shooting every style in one day.
Right.
You're shooting fashion and candids and beauty and lifestyle and still life and food and portraiture and everything all in one day. So it's
jump back. I'm sorry to interrupt, but let's talk about websites a little bit. Some do's and don'ts. Other than no harps and strings music on your website, what would you kind of recommend not to do or to do?
What to do? Well, I think, again, going back to that, really putting imagery out there that you want. I think it's...
You've mentioned it a few times, and I think it's an important point. Anytime you're doing photography, anytime, only put the stuff that you like out there. Otherwise, you're going to get assignments you don't like.
Well, right, exactly. Because what you put out there is what you're going to get back. Mm-hmm. And one of the stories that I tell in when I'm speaking is that I call the blonde updo effect. On one of my former older website is I was very lucky to have a photo of a model who was very lovely, had a blonde updo. And it was my, signature image. It was on my promo card, all of that kind of stuff. And as I would sit there on the couch, culling weddings and stuff, my husband would look over and be like, wait, didn't you already shoot? Didn't you finish that one? Wait. I'm like, no, this is a different girl. We started realizing that I had like 3 girls that had blonde updos that year. And it was because what I was putting out there, they subconsciously see that. They subconsciously put themselves in that image, in those images. So whatever you're going to put out there, you're going to get back. So if you do not like shooting at a certain venue, if you do not like doing a certain style of of photos, if maternity, if you're a portrait photographer and you hate taking maternity pictures because no pregnant woman ever likes photos of herself, I don't care what they say, like just don't put it out there because that's what's going to come back to you for sure. So I'm sorry, John, to answer your question as far as putting out the signature image that is going to really speak to the client. And you have 3 seconds to make them feel and make them want to continue looking.
Well, that one signature image is a lot more important than kind of showing all that you can do, would you say?
I think, less is more for sure. And it doesn't have to be one specific shot. Right, it could be like a handful of shots, but you want to know what, I think the biggest problem is that people don't know what their work is about. They really, they make the mistake of marketing of what they think those people want instead of what they're about. And that's a good point. And you should be showing what you want to do, what your work is about, and sort of that build it and they will come. Like, this is who I am. You like it? Come on over.
that kind of leads me to another question about this idea of niche markets, niche demographics, even.
Right.
Do you recommend that idea if it works for you?
Well, I think it does because that's really being specific of who you are and who I think when you're young and you're first starting out, you just want any job, right? You're like, I'll shoot anything. I just need to get a portfolio together and that kind of thing. So I understand that. But as you're shooting more and as you're honing your skills and honing your style, you have the decision of what you want to be shooting.
You have to be a little more selective about what you're putting out there.
And selective of what the jobs you're taking on. Like, you don't have to accept every inquiry that comes to you. If you know that couple's going to drive you crazy, don't do it because something else will, knock on wood, come along. And if it doesn't, then, go spend some time doing a personal project that you've been wanting to do for a long time to make it better. You need to really promote yourself to those ideal clients. And one of the things I find really interesting is if you look back at your last year's clients or the last few years, you'll start to see common threads between those clients. They work in a particular industry. They all have certain styles. They all do something, and you're going to start to realize, oh, okay, these are my clients. These are the people that I like, and really pinpoint who your clients are. Like, I'm surprised. Like, I had a consultation recently, and I said, well, tell me about your clients, your couples. Like, and he's like, oh, they're nice. I'm like, yeah, but like, what do they do? Like, are they doctors? Are they lawyers? Are they teachers? Are they in finance? Are they fashionable? Are they hipsters? Like, what are they? He's like, I don't know. I don't know what they do. I was like, well, you should know. You should know. That's maybe the big problem right there. Like, you're not connecting with your clients. Like, you're just showing up.
Getting the essence, yeah.
Yeah. Then you're just showing up to take the pictures. And that's not, and that was maybe fine, 30, 40 years ago, but this is not how it is nowadays.
At that point, you might as well get onto the catering hall and say, listen, can we just buy the surveillance tapes for that day? And just,
right. But the thing is that millennial couples, but not even millennial couples, just, even Gen Xers or whatnot, they want to build collaborative teams, right? So I think back in the day of the Bridezilla, she was like, I'm hiring the best photographer and this is what he's done and he's on a pedestal or she's on a pedestal and I'm going to do whatever they say. Now it's not so much about that. It's more like, oh, you like Game of Thrones? I totally like Game of Thrones too.
Game of Thrones themed wedding.
Yeah, let's go for it. Exactly. They might not have a Game of Thrones themed wedding, but they they get each other and they want to hang out with each other. And a lot of photographers that I speak to are like, oh, it's so sweet. They want to, I get emails from clients from 2 years ago, like following up with me to see how I'm doing, and because they make such connections with you. Absolutely. And they want to build. So that's the thing now is that it's more collaborative. It's more of a collaborative spirit. And they want to, they meaning the couples want to connect with you because, like I said, you're spending 2 years of their lives with you and on a very sensitive, emotional day.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the big day, shooting styles, things to anticipate, things that if you are a wedding photographer, you should have in mind as you enter the process.
We hope you're enjoying this edition of the B&H Photography Podcast. Send us a tweet at BHPhotoVideo, #BHPhotoPodcast.
Let's talk a little bit about shooting styles and what your approach is on the big day when you go in there. Obviously, you spoke to your clients already. You know what they're looking for and things of that sort. What sort of little checklist do you have in your head? How do you approach things?
I actually don't suggest checklists. And when I am critiquing work for my Editor's Edge clients, part of the process is that I look through a body of work to critique, and I make notes. And one of the things I'm often saying as I look through is I look through your images and I can feel your shot list. And that is not something like, okay, got this shot, check, got this shot, check. That's not, yes, maybe for your client, you'd need to do it if they specifically asked, I need to have this photo of this particular centerpiece, whatever.
Is that something that you kind of always deal with ahead of time, or you suggest to obviously talk to the couple and you say, what is it you absolutely have to have?
Yeah, communication is definitely key, and you need to know what is expected of you and explain to your couple that is getting married what you're capable of. What I personally do as a photographer, and I know a lot of other photographers do this as well, is that couples are required to have a point person on each side of their family. So they are the person that, one, usually has a loud mouth, and two, knows who everybody is. So because I'm not going to bother the bride, so I'm going to go, or my second shooter is going to go up to said point person and say, okay, we need uncle this, aunt this, whoever, they're next up on deck. Go get them from the bar because we need them right now. So that way they're smooth. It's smooth and everything's fast and that kind of thing. Because again, there's always some woman coming up to me being like, "Did you get a picture of my daughter?" I'm like, "I have no idea who your daughter is." So I luckily, very lovely, always say when we have our consultation call about a month before, which is kind of like I call the pre-production meeting. Mm-hmm. I say specifically, I need to know who we want for the formals. But I also want to know who are like your 5 VIPs. Who are the people that flew in from Hong Kong, or I haven't seen in 10 years, or is ill and may not be here next year, or is quite elderly, that kind of thing. And I need, somebody to introduce me to who those people are. Or I just want to make sure to remind you at the end of the day, like, you wanted a picture with your sorority sisters? Do you want to have somebody gather them up? And they're like, oh, yeah. Because they, and ideally also if you're working with wedding planners are going to will be doing that, but not everybody has a wedding planner, so you need to be on top of the ball.
I want to come back to something on that actually you said something a few minutes ago that's just hanging in my head, and you're talking about looking at photographers' work and you say this is all scripted, yet much of a wedding is scripted, and very much so. We're talking about, again, you need point people for all the pictures. And you have to so it actually is a very, very scripted event.
If you want it to go smoothly.
Yes.
That was my question, too.
Now, but now you say you're looking at work and you're saying, does it look scripted or does it not look scripted? So is it a matter of that, yes, these are scripted pictures, but they took them with a style that is kind of nice or refreshing? Or are you looking for the pictures that were taken outside of the required list, the kind of stuff that they said, hey, look at that, the pictures that, the unique photographs.
Those are the photos that you really are taking for your, for yourself. So yes.
So is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, there's always a shot list and there's always a scripted list, and there should be, because like I said, these are family memories that are going to be going, down through the test of time. But I am looking at, as Editor's Edge, I'm lifting up the hood. I'm opening up people's linen closets. I'm seeing what they normally, other people aren't seeing. I think we all know as photographers that those off-the-cuff moments happen because you just keep shooting, and it's the moment in between the scripted moments when things actually happen. And that's where I'm surprised that photographers are not shooting in between the moments, and
that's a really, really good point.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's the the John Lennon says, life happens when you're busy making other plans.
Life's what's happening while you're busy making plans.
So it's
exactly.
it's those moments in between where everybody is really having fun and that kind of thing. So you have to keep shooting.
Well, some of this has to do with creating the time to make those moments. If you're frantically going from moment to moment. So this is my next question.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on how you can create the time you need for all the shots you get, and also to be comfortable and relaxed enough to get the shots in between?
Yeah, I think it's communicating again beforehand, either to the couple that is getting married or the wedding planner, to say, this is what we really need and this is what's really important. Mm-hmm. Because I can't give you what you see on my website without you providing me the scenario. For example, if somebody's getting ready, we'll sweep the room and we'll clean up the mess and we'll put you towards the best light, which is usually, not in a bedroom. It's usually sometimes in people's living rooms, and then let things happen, unfold naturally, quote unquote naturally. I mean, I don't believe in posing. I believe in directing, and
that's the difference, yeah.
And that's a big difference. To flip when
suggesting things,
and I think that's the flip also with my Editor's Edge clients. When I'm looking through their images, in their linen closet, I can not only do I say I can feel your shot list, but I can feel what you're saying to them. I could feel that you're saying, move your shoulder and close your eyes and do this and do that. I could feel it, and it's coming through, and they are so I could see in their eyes they are so uncomfortable with you, and why. Can
we talk a bit about shooting styles, photography styles that are popular right now? I see a lot of what we're calling hipster photos, where you have, the couple on either side of a garage door.
Yeah.
You have a lot of people out in nature, and of course, lifestyle magazines.
I do blame Instagram for that.
Oh, you do? Okay, yeah.
Instagram. I think that the light and airy look is still quite popular.
What is the light and airy?
The light and airy look is the semi-overexposed semi-overexposed backlit situation in a field, maybe in a beach or whatnot. I call
blowing out highlights.
Blowing out highlights. Yeah. It's the light. I call it the light and airy look.
Ethereal.
Ethereal. Yes. Soft focus. That kind of shooting wide open is still popular. It's also. I'm not going to go there. Sorry.
Not a fan, I guess.
No. I am a fan. I think it is beautiful, but it still has. I think it's still there, and it's not going. It hasn't gone away just yet. Then there's the hipster look, which to me is quite trendy, and also relies a lot on filters and actions, Lightroom actions, and that kind of thing. So the hipster client, may want something a little bit more quote unquote artsy,
right.
And they might not go to the light and airy, who might want something a little bit more fine artsy. It depends on.
So then you also you risk of being boxed into a style where somebody may not hire you, thinking that you can't do anything.
But that's okay. I think that's okay, because you don't want that client, right? I mean, you need to have a good idea of who your ideal client is.
But say you have different styles. So you can, and I know people that could shoot different things different ways, and say, here are ways we can approach it. Are there photographers that do that in the wedding thing, saying, here are some styles that we've done, different things, and just which direction would you like to see? Or is that dangerous?
That's a good question. Well, I think that you can show, there's showing range, and then there's the one-man band syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And the one-man band syndrome is visually, if you could think about Dick Van Dyke in Mary Poppins, right? And he's got like cymbals between his knees, and he's got, the whole thing, right? It's like, hey man, look at me, I'm a photographer, I could do everything. You want your light and airy thing? You want your hipster flat look thing? But then you look at it, you're like, you're a mess, right?
Yeah, but here's something else to consider though. Now, we're here in Manhattan, and you have people who could specialize in the most specialized topics and everything.
Yeah, I know where you're going with this.
You go a few hundred miles any direction
Yeah.
except east, because you'll end up in the ocean. But when you live in a smaller area, you have to be a little bit more multifaceted. We brought this up in other topics
that's
too.
a good point.
So I think you have to kind of give a little bit of room for that, depending on where you are. If you're out in Springfield, wherever, you might have to say, I have a choice of styles.
Yeah.
Just like you shoot weddings and you also do, the corporate stuff and you do newspaper stuff. You're doing everything because you have to. That's what you have to do to survive.
Yeah, but then I think then there has to be a common thread
and I think you should also be good at each of the styles that you're showing as well.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too. I don't know. It just seems a little fake to me. Like, yeah, you can do all that, but then there needs to be a common thread.
What about getting your work seen in magazines? I mean, that's,
getting published.
Yeah, getting published. I mean, what editors look for?
I think editors, whether it be a print magazine or a website, really are looking for details. In all honesty, because they are looking for what their readers and viewers are looking for, and their viewers are looking for things that they're planning their wedding. Mm-hmm. So just as much as photographers, we love those great emotional moments. What the reader really wants to see is the napkin treatment. Mm. So it's details, a lot of and things that are different. Mm-hmm. They don't want the same, California blown out wedding over and over again. They need something that looks different, and usually it has to do with style. So maybe the style of the dress or the style of the suit, or make something that is unique to them.
So you're bringing in a lot of elements when you're looking to publish something. It's not just the quality of the photography work. It's
well, yes, it is
location.
It is the quality of the photography work for sure. One of the biggest problems I find is horizontal details, which is the worst. Don't shoot. I mean, shoot them horizontal and shoot them vertically. And when you submit for submissions, vertical. Because there's just not enough room. And so I always think of every image as visual real estate. And even on a website, you have a certain amount of clicks before people are going to jump off. And think of yourself, even when you're shopping, you have a certain amount of clicks before you're bored. So why don't waste your visual real estate with a horizontal photo of a ring or something like that? Like you need to jam pack as much information in a click as you can, or a swipe.
Interesting.
We're kind of in a bit of a counter movement toward film.
Yeah, what's old is new again.
Are you seeing that a lot in people's work?
I would say what I see is a rise in hybrid shooters. So they will shoot film for portraits of the couple, or key, moments of the ceremony, and it's a limited amount of rolls, I would say, of film. But they are always having a digital camera as well.
Obviously, delivering film is a whole other, story than delivering digital files. What would you recommend? I know maybe this is not your thing specifically, but we all have to deliver our files somehow. I mean, there's no way to get around it.
I'm always curious to hear how people do it, because everyone, there's so many different ways of. Some people send little boxes of proofs and a thumb drive, and some people just send online galleries. Some people send little highlight slideshows. One of the things that I have tried and was inspired by another photographer was having post-wedding meetings with the couple, and for that, creating a small little slideshow. We meet up, and I brought a bottle of Prosecco and brought some sample albums and said, let's sit down and because I think there is, hey, we're photographers because we like to take the photos, but we also like the reactions that people have to that. And I think there is with digital and online galleries and whatnot, there's a cutoff of that part of us is missing as a photographer. Like we're there in the beginning, but we're not there in the end. And
I think
what's
that's
happening.
Also, this is your opportunity to be with the person afterwards. And I think as a business, from a business point of view, it makes a lot of sense because yeah, you already got your money. It's already over. You could just be going on your way. But in the
Right.
meantime, you're still vested with them, and you're still spending time with them. And you still have actually an emotional thing going on there.
You know, I loved working in the publishing and magazine world, and created and collaborated for some beautiful photo shoots. But in the end of the day, that magazine is going in the recycling bin. They're here and they're gone. And that was the big transition for me for leaving my full-time photo editing position to working, one-on-one with wedding clients, is that these are the images that are going to be passed down. And that's what you're creating for those people. And now as Editor's Edge, the thing too is that, I'm helping people find their style and their work and making themselves proud again of what they're doing.
That's great. Kristi, if any of our listeners want to contact you about photography, consulting work, or any of the other services you offer, what's the contact info?
For critiques and consults, freelance photo production, speaking engagements is at editors-edge.com. And on there, on the contact page, is an In the Loop list where you can sign up and receive semi-monthly newsletters, which are really fun and will make you laugh, hopefully. And then my photography is at www.kristidrago-Price.com. And my Instagram, I think I mentioned as well earlier, is Editor's Edge.
Kristi, thank you so much. Thanks, John, our producer, Jason, our engineer. Give us your opinions on Twitter at BHPhotoVideo with the hashtag BHPhotoPodcast. And please rate and leave a review on iTunes. My name is Alan Weitz. Thank you so much for tuning in today.